Hi everyone, this is Domenica from growhotpeppers.com. Today I'm going to show you how to grow radish sprouts in a jar. This video is part of a new series on my site that covers how to grow vegetables indoors. These methods are very beginner friendly because you won't have the usual learning curve of conventional gardening. You also don't need soil, sun, and outdoor space to make this happen, and the grow time is really quick. In fact, you can start producing your own nutritious food in as little as 5 days. Make sure you stick around so you can see how this process is done from beginning to end. Let's get started. Okay, so I am going to show you how you can sprout some seeds at home. So what I have here is a bag of, these are radish seeds, but you can get all kinds of seeds. These are known as sprouting seeds. So if you were going to plant seeds, for example, they would usually have about 10 in a pack, but these are sprouting seeds, so you'll get a lot more. Here I have a mason jar with a sprouting lid, and I actually purchased this on Amazon, so I'll link that kit in the description. And then I have some water, so I'll show you how quick and simple and clean this is. No messy dirt. So what I'm going to do, and just for reference, this is about, this mason jar is a wide mouth mason jar that holds about 3 cups. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of these radish seeds in there. Generally, you can do anything from about 1 tablespoon to 3 tablespoons for this size jar. So all you do is just pour them in. I like to do 2. And it's funny because these seeds will actually fill this whole jar when they're fully grown. It doesn't seem like it now, but it does happen. So next, what I want to do is I want to pour some water in so that it goes approximately halfway up the jar. So I have some water here and I'm just going to pour that in. Just do it all. And that's about a little bit more than halfway. And then what I'm going to do is simply screw on the sprouting lid. And that portion is done. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this jar with my seeds and the water in a spot that doesn't get direct sunlight, and I'm going to let it sit overnight. So once we're done with that portion, I'll go ahead and show you what to do next. Okay, so it's the next day. Our sprouting seeds have been sitting overnight in the glass jar. Let me just show you what this looks like. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but some of the shells have started to come away and the sprouts are getting ready to germinate and become the food that we're going to eat. So after your seeds have been soaking overnight, what you want to do is just go ahead and drain that water out. And this is a kit that I actually bought, this jar and this lid, so it has little holes in the top so that you can drain the water without the sprouts themselves coming out of the tops. So once you've drained the water, you're just going to go ahead and fill it up a little bit. And the idea is that you're going to fill it about halfway with water and drain the water. We want to rinse this out. So I usually do this a couple of times, so I'm just going to do this one more time. And then again, just rinse it out by draining that water. And you're going to do this every day, ideally once in the morning and once in the evening, every single day, in order to give the sprouts what they need. Let me show you a close-up of this. You can see some of them starting to form. You want to do this about twice a day, 2 rinses each time. And then what you're going to do is in between those times, you're just going to lay it at an angle. You're going to lay this mason jar with your seeds in a bowl to catch any water that's present. And this will help both with the germination and also make sure that the seeds don't sit too long in moisture and develop any kind of mold that will prevent them from growing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this bowl with this jar full of seeds that's draining, and I'm going to place it somewhere on in an area that doesn't get direct sunlight. That's the key. Just do not let it sit in direct sunlight. So I'm going to put it in a little corner of my kitchen here, and I will come back and show you what happens next. Just wanted to pop back in real quick. As you can see, the radish sprouts are growing out through the top of the lid. You'll notice right here that there is some fine little white hairs that are growing on it. This is not mold. This is a normal part of the root development. You'll see the same thing when you sprout your own seeds, but this is normal when you see this. Okay, here we are on day 5. As you can see, we have a jar full of sprouts. We started with about 2 tablespoons. 3 would have been okay, but our sprouts are looking pretty great. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and rinse them out. And as a reminder, we're rinsing our sprouts twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, and then we've been laying our sprouts in the bowl, just like this. I have an old bowl here, and I just tilted it at an angle just like that, so that the sprouts can continue to drain until their next rinse. And it also helps prevent bacterial growth. So I'm gonna go ahead and rinse our sprouts and then show you what we're gonna do next. So after your sprouts are done growing and you're ready for the next step, what I like to do is put them in a sunny spot for about a half hour to an hour. And the idea is that the sun, this indoor sun, is gonna help green up your sprouts. So I have a sunny windowsill right here. So I'm just gonna place it right there and leave it for about a half an hour. Okay, now that our sprouts have been sitting in the sun for a little bit and they've got some more color, it's time to get rid of as much of the seed shells as possible. These little shells are very soft, so if you accidentally bite into them, it's not gonna hurt. It's just easier to eat the sprouts that way and a little bit cleaner. So what you're gonna do is you're going to get a bowl and you're just going to pour in the sprouts into this bowl. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So here are the sprouts. So you're gonna pour them into the bowl, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fill this almost to the top with water so that the little shells here can float to the surface and I can drain them off. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this with water. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna place my hand over the top of the sprouts and I'm just gonna let those little shells fall away. So I'm gonna do this about once or twice. I'm not really particular on having too many of the little shells inside. It doesn't bother me all that much, but I do this process just to get rid of as many as possible. So I'm just gonna repeat that process once more. And again, this is really to your liking. Again, just hold your hand over the top so that the sprouts themselves don't come out. And then just drain off the seeds. And you'll get a bunch of them out that way. If you really want to get as many as possible out, you can continuously break up the sprouts with your hands just to separate them a bit, and then repeat the watering process and the draining process. So now that I have these sprouts, I'm going to go ahead and give them one more final rinse, and then we are going to dry them. And you can dry them in a couple of ways. One of the ways you can do that is by using paper towels, and you want to get them as dry as possible. You can also use a salad spinner. If the slats in the salad spinner aren't too thin and you're not going to lose your sprouts, you can use a salad spinner because you do want the sprouts to be as dry as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and dry these sprouts and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I've dried these sprouts. What I did here was I'm just going to keep them in another mason jar. You can put your sprouts, you're going to refrigerate them. You can put them in the refrigerator in an enclosed container, glass or plastic is fine, or you can use a plastic bag. I like to reuse, this is a clean jar and I am reusing another sprouting lid because it has little holes at the top and I like the airflow. Now, some people will say keep your sprouts completely enclosed without any sort of airflow. Don't let them breathe. My preference is to let a little airflow in, and you'll develop your own preference as you go. But if you want, you could also use a container just like this. I haven't dried this yet. Line it with paper towels, put your sprouts in there, and then put those in the fridge as well. But the main thing is you want to make sure that your sprouts are as dry as possible. And if you're ever concerned about whether they're as dry as possible, again, I don't have any paper towels right now, but I could have lined this jar with paper towels and that would continue to take out the moisture. So once you have your dried sprouts in its container ready to go, you put it in the fridge and it will stay there approximately 7 days. I would definitely eat your sprouts within 7 days. And there is just a bunch of things that you can do with this raw food. I particularly like to add these to salads as a crunchy topping. These are radish sprouts, so they're nice, crunchy, and spicy. They have a really good flavor to them. Or you could add them to a sandwich, a wrap. You could also add them, a soup. Sometimes I mix them in rice, put them in smoothies if I want the extra nutritional boost. But again, just make sure they're dry, put them in the fridge, eat them within 7 days, and you are good to go. And if you think that you're going to want to make sprouts a regular part of your diet, what I do to keep a consistent supply is when I get down to about halfway, and you'll be surprised as to how quickly you'll eat these. When you get down to about halfway, then I would start another jar. That way you would have a continuous supply. So I hope that you found this video helpful, and happy growing.